This video is going to be about active patterns in F#. So we've talked about match statements in previous videos, and this active pattern is a good addition to know when we're working with match statements. They're going to help us define the rules that we ultimately use to match an expression. So to make this more clear, let's define one of these active patterns, and the way you would do that is with the let statement as usual. And then for this example, we're going to define a partition of 2 elements. You could do this with an arbitrary amount up to 7, but we're going to do just even and odd. And you can see that I'm separating these values with the pipes like this. So you would have 1 on each side, and then you would separate them as well like this. And then we would have some input parameter to this. So input here. So similar to a function, we have this style of definition here. We provide the output values here, the possible output values, and then we have some input variable. And what we're going to say here is if input and then modulo 2 is 0, then we're going to call it even. And if that's not the case, then we're going to say that it's odd. Okay, so this is just a very simple definition. You can see already what it does. It takes the input and checks whether the remainder while dividing by 0 is, or dividing by 2 is 0. And if that's the case, then we say that this is an even number. Otherwise, we say it's an odd number. So you can see that the definition here doesn't take on a value of either even or odd. It's more like a function that you would provide some input value and then you would get your output. But the output needs to be one of these pre-specified identifiers here. So once we've defined this type, we can actually use this in match statements, and this is where it becomes quite useful. So if we make a function, let's call it test number, okay, and we still give it an input value like this, then in this function we would define a match statement, and for that we would use the input variable and then with. And here we can now make use of these types that we defined previously. So we would have even here, for example, and then the behavior would be defined here. And if you're not familiar with this syntax, please check out the video I made on match statements. But we would simply print, we would print that the value here is even, and then we would provide it the input like so. And then we can copy this entire thing, and we would do something similar, but we would do that for the case when this is an odd number. And then we would say it's odd here instead. All right, something like that. And then we can run this with some values. So test number 7, let's say, and then we can do 11 and 32, like so. All right, so let's save our script, and once we run this, we can see that what is going to happen now we're going to print whether or not these are even or odd, and that happens based on this match statement that we provide right here. So you can see like this. We're able to group these based on even or odd, and the reason why is because we've defined what these two identifiers mean up here. So when F# encounters this and tries to match input with even or odd, it will refer to this active pattern right here and check which of them is the case. So that's a neat way of defining functionality inside of F# when you want to discriminate between different partitions of your values for a particular variable.